Hello, guys. Welcome to Brothers of MGTOW. I'm your host, a brother of MGTOW, and this is episode 14. So I'm going to change tacks a little bit today. I'm not really going to talk, so I'm going to go a bit off topic. I'm trying to stay on topic, but okay, you'll know what I mean. So I'm going to talk about political philosophy. Okay, so the idea of conservatism, liberalism, and other things related to that. With context, I'm trying to put it in context of gender, in a sense. Okay, I'll probably entitle it political philosophy and gender. So, I'll start off with sort of my beliefs. I myself, I don't know, I'm definitely no liberal. I've, well, being in Australia, I've never voted for the Labor Party ever. Not even at federal, state, I don't know if local level exists, but I've never voted Labor at federal or state level. Maybe there's a few times where I just didn't care and I just didn't vote full stop. But I didn't. I turned up to the voting place, but I didn't tick the ballot paper, whatever. But it's only like the last couple of years where I've really started voting. You know, like especially in the last election, I was very adamant in voting Malcolm Turnbull. Right. I consider myself so if you have the left-right spectrum, just the liberal versus conservative spectrum, I probably consider myself around 70% towards the conservative in a way. So it's not really centered right, but it's not really far right as well. It's sort of in between. Well, basically, if you're not familiar with terms liberal and conservative, conservatism, I'll probably look up a good definition for it. So conservatism is a political philosophy which favors tradition, okay, in the sense of various religious, cultural, or nationally defined beliefs and customs in the face of external forces for change. So, in other way, conservatism is all about keeping the status quo in a sense, okay, keeping things the way they are. And so, economically, so financial conservatism basically means that uh, financial inequality or wealth inequality is sort of inevitable, right? Likewise, you could replace that with social conservatism, which is sort of more what today's about. So social conservatism is where social inequality is inevitable. Okay, it's not. Whereas if you look at the opposite side of the spectrum, the idea of liberalism, then over there on the left side, right, we say that those people tend to promote equality financially, socially. So obviously, social equality. They believe that. Well, I wouldn't say they believe that, but they say that people are equal regardless of gender, race, sexuality. What else? Can't this that yeah. But promotes liberal promotes equality across all forms of differences. Okay, so that's sort of where feminism lies. Feminism is a very liberal left philosophy. So just checking my order. Yeah, so yeah. So what we talked about the whole feminism stuff is a very left. It's a liberal ideology, I guess. Okay. So where I so I'll sort of go back now to sort of where I am on the conservative side, right? Especially so we've talked about social conservatism, how we said that social inequality is sort of inevitable, keep it as they are. a subset of social conservatism, and this is sort of where I lie. I consider myself a meritocrat. Okay, so I have massive support for meritocracy. What that is, oh, in short, intellectual superiority. Okay, supremacy. That's the better word. Intellectual supremacy. So meritocracy basically means we, well, probably, yeah, just, so meritocracy basically just means that you, power is obtained. Power should be restricted to those who are, I guess, of high intellect or of high merit. Okay, I mean, another way of looking at it is a ruling or influential class of educated or able people. And the main topic for today is sort of meritocracy and how, I guess, if you could say feminism, the whole idea of the liberal left is how that impedes the idea of meritocracy, which is sort of a subset of conservatism. Okay, and I'm probably going to start where I left off last time, when we talked about women in STEM, right? I think the idea of sort of meritocracy opposes the idea of quota filling. So what we talked about last time, where we have all these programs to get women into STEM subjects just to fill the quota for certain jobs, which again, first of all, defeats the idea of meritocracy in that you're going to sort of, when you start hiring a select amount of, let's put it in inverted commas, disadvantaged people, right? Then you start to forego the opportunity of someone who's more educated, more qualified, more able to, how do I put it, to, sorry, I'm just trying to get the words right. Yeah, so you're trying to forego the opportunity of them to pursue these jobs, right? Likewise, giving scholarships to disadvantaged, I guess, a disadvantaged demographic. Again, you're investing money into a place where you could probably be investing it into someone who displays more merit. And that's not to say, by the way, that's not to say that the disadvantaged are not of merit, right? That's not what I'm trying to say. What I'm trying to say is that we should judge people based on their intellect, their abilities, yes, but in short, how smart they are, or how able they are, how well educated they are. Right? We should judge people based on that, as opposed to who they are. And of course, it's a liberal left ideology that everything, gender, race, sexuality is all a social construct. Again, loaded bull. I'm not going to delve into that. That's not what this is about. Okay. So with this stuff, I'm talking about women in STEM here, right? Again, I'm all for women in STEM. I don't I don't oppose the idea of that. I just think that if not all women, likewise not all men, are capable of doing STEM subjects, it is a highly demanding field. I mean, even third year maths. Well, nowadays, I'm going to talk about this later on, about the whole politics of dumbing down STEM subjects just to pander to the disadvantaged. I'll talk about that a bit later on. But even at a high standard, you know, STEM subjects are hard. And I think the idea of less women being in STEM as opposed to men, that says more about, well, obviously the left will have you believe that that's all just a sexist plot to get, you know, oh, how do I put it? It's a sexist plot concocted by men to weed women out of STEM. But I believe, sort of on the right side, right, on the conservative side, I believe that that says more about a woman's ability to handle the high demands of a STEM subject as opposed to a man's ability. So again, back to the whole meritocratic idea that we judge people based on their abilities. Okay, so that's sort of one aspect that I want to just reiterate the whole idea of women in STEM and how that I guess how that relates to meritocracy. Okay. Now, what we have, I guess, I could probably change tax a little bit now. Sort of going back to that idea of sort of dumbing down STEM subjects to pander to the disadvantaged, especially the women. You know, I think what I'm starting to see, and this so let's say you go to European universities to study math, okay, or even just American university, but European universities are the pinnacle. Their level of math is very advanced, and then you have European sort of up here, then the American sort of a bit down, and then you sort of got the others which are sort of dumbed down. But even now, it's sort of dumbing down in general because what we are having now is sort of, well, first of all, you got the gynocentric society. They're all complaining, oh, math is too hard. We want it easier so more people can do it. I guess part of the trick is in getting good educated, good communicators, good people who can communicate very well to maintain the standard of, let's say, the mathematics in general, but then be able to explain it in the way such that those of a lower level will be able to understand. And that's a very hard thing to do. And that's sort of the solution, the meritocratic solution to keeping the high standard. Otherwise, because it's get then otherwise if you're sort of teaching at this standard and not enough people are able to explain it to the people lower than them, then you have to lower the standard of mathematics, and that really, I guess at least in mathematics, that reduces a lot of rigor, which is bad in a sense because what we have now is the liberal idea that everyone has access, you know, to STEM now. You know, everyone deserves the access to STEM. Women, the poor. I mean, I'm not going to knock on the poor, but I'm mainly let's stick to women in general. Okay. Again, I've mentioned this. Well, probably should mention it, but women who feel like they can't handle the demands of STEM says more about how they are as opposed to how the subject is, right? I guess now what we have is a liberal society that has to pander to the what we call get disadvantage. Let's be honest. Feminism will have you. The whole liberal idea of feminism will have you believe that women are an oppressed gender in society. Load of cock. Load of cock. Yeah. And I'm not gonna delve that too much about that. Okay. So yeah, back to that whole idea of sort of dumbing down, not just STEM, but any subject. I mean, when you lower the amount of, you could say difficulty, but I'm talking about when you lower the standard of the subject just to pander to the disadvantaged. Again, it's a very liberal idea, that one. But if you sort of look at it from a conservative point of view, what that does is it removes the, I guess, the weeding out process in a sense, right? Because at the end of the day, if you can't handle the rigors of a subject or the rigors of your job, the demands of it, then you shouldn't be doing it. Full stop. Right? Again, it goes back to the whole idea that women, because women are not capable of STEM, they tend to pursue something a bit easier. I don't consider STEM the pinnacle, by the way. I'm just saying. I'm just using STEM as an example of a really high demanding subject. I mean, I work in the STEM industry, specifically a mathematician, so I can speak for that. Yeah. So I mean, the whole I'm just reading an article now, meritocracy in women, right? On how the whole idea is a myth because women lose out on it. So if you sort of do a Google search on meritocracy in women, okay, I'm just gonna read out some. I just found this article in the Guardian, which, by the way, you shouldn't take as gospel. Never take liberal media as gospel. They like to twist things around. But yeah, they're sort of talking about false theory of meritocracy, why women lose out. So a professor believes the idea is a myth, abetted by phony HR practices, whatever the fuck. What the fuck are they talking about now? And controlled by men for men. Bollocks. It's controlled by educated people for educated people. Just think about that. Think about that. I mean, don't get me wrong. I know women in STEM. You know, I know. I see women in STEM, and they do a very good job of it. You know, they get to high-ranking positions in academia, and it's a good thing. It's a good thing they do that. So, yeah, the whole. I guess another good. If you sort of want an alternative opinion to this, I suggest watching a bit of Milo Yiannopoulos. He's also a meritocrat as well. Yeah, he's also a bit of a meritocrat, or he is a meritocrat, one of the most well-known ones. And he's sort of bollocks down the idea of sort of filling board position with women just because it has to be done. It's one of those myths. I won't say myth, but it's one of those farces that needs to die. Okay. Yeah, so I guess I'm just reading this, but it's in general. I'll go for another headline, by the way. How the meritocracy myth is used to keep women away from power. By the way, this is from dailylife.com.au. Again, liberal media. Take it with a grain of salt. See, well, I'm just trying to load this up. I don't know what to say, by the way. I'm just going to read the first paragraph because that normally tells. Few women will be unfamiliar with the argument that we live in a meritocracy. Okay, we live in a meritocracy, no doubt about that. When discussions of quotas and gender parity goals arise, as they often do, particularly in celebrations around International Women's Day, the common retort is usually to complain about giving jobs to people who don't deserve them, as if all the white dudes currently running the show work like super hard to get there. I just got an idea. Oh God. Oh no. Sorry, that's a huge mistake. Oh God. I just checked on who wrote this. Actually, don't even read that one. Clementine Ford, if you wanted to know. Don't even read that. She's one of those feminists who preach misandry. She's one of those women that every MGTOW needs to burn. You know, she's one of those women that every MGTOW man needs to burn at the stake. So yeah, we don't go there. But yeah, if you sort of do a Google search of meritocracy and women, then you sort of look at it. Then you sort of see a lot of liberal media just going on about how meritocracy fails women, women lose out on it, why meritocracy is a load of bullshit. But at the end of the day, meritocracy is natural in a way. I think that's what I'm trying to get at. You know, we want a high standard of intellect in society. For if there wasn't, we'd be stuck with the whole barbarianic stupidity, which apparently now is the whole gynocentric feminism stuff. The whole gynocentric feminism bullshit, I should say. Okay. Yeah, so I'm not going to try to read that. So that again, I'm sort of talking about a subset of conservatism. A lot. If you do support left-wing politics, I'm not knocking you. I'm just you're obviously entitled to your opinion. I'm entitled to mine. I just believe in a sense that you know, in that I sort of prefer a society where sort of natural selection by intellect these days. And that's why I go MGTOW so I can increase my intellect, intellectual power, I should say. I believe in power through intellect as opposed to power through wealth. I think the word we're looking for is not financial conservatism, it's fiscal conservatism. Okay. Again, the liberal media may make you believe that conservatism is akin to, I don't know, it's akin to far right politics, Hitler or Trump or Abbott in Australia. When in reality, conservatism is just a philosophy where things should be as they are. You know, I guess so. Let's try to look at the flip side of conservatism, which is liberalism or socialism. Okay, liberalism introduces broad spectrum of political philosophies that consider individual liberty to be the most important political goal and emphasize individual rights and equality of opportunity. The last one really rings true. The whole idea of equality of opportunity. This is the whole idea of, quote, that in the context of meritocracy and women in STEM, this is basically just the whole idea of quota filling, trying to fill a job positions for, the disadvantaged. In our case, we're talking about women, but it could also be minority, people of minority, blacks, Hispanics, or in our case, sometimes the indigenous people, And also we have for all those in the LGBT community, gays, lesbians, bi, trans. I don't know. Okay. Mhm. So the whole idea of human rights is sort of what they are into. Okay, I'm just trying to read a bit more. I'm not into history stuff. Yeah, I'll probably leave it there with liberalism. It's not liberalism is not my thing. I'm quite conservative in things, as you can see, and I try to dress fashionably, but not like not for my age. I guess I dress older than my age, so I try to keep tradition. I like old school stuff. I keep things old school if I can. Okay, yeah. So what else do I have to say about this stuff? What else could I talk about? I'm just reading certain things. I could probably talk just before I finish up, sort of talking about sort of where most women stand in the political spectrum, and that's I guess another thing we could talk about. I guess because it's relevant to MGTOW. Okay. Now, as I said, feminism is a very liberal identity, a very liberal ideology because, again, as I said, liberalism stands for equality of opportunity, and feminism stands for equality of opportunity for women. That's what feminism is, right? So it's very hard to find feminists who are conservative because the conservative philosophy on women is basically women are women, their place is at the home, the traditional sense of women being the homemakers. And of course, feminism is basically like, oh no, we should be more empowered to, it's basically, in short, women want to be men. Ha! No, that's my opinion, at least. Well, at least most meet up people would go, ah, fuck. Women want to be men, and they want to make the men women. Blah blah blah. Whole load of bollock stuff that they preach. So yeah. So I identify most women, I guess, at least those who are brainwashed with the ideology of feminism, they tend to be more left leaning than right leaning. And most of those who are right leaning, they most of those who are right leaning, they tend to be more, but they're still empowered in a sense, but they've seen feminism now, right? Modern feminism for what it is, and they're basically taking a stand against that. And you're probably thinking, oh, well, she's probably just doing it because she wants to increase her game. But of course, like take it for what it is. Let's assume legitimacy in that, right? So now some women are waking up to this. You know, there are lots of anti-feminists out there, lots of female men's right activists. Good examples: Karen Strawn. You should watch her video, sorry, her interview on the Rubin Report. Okay, try to watch that. It is quite long, but at the end of the day, meritocracy. If you can't handle a video that long, you're probably not of intellect. Bye bye. No, let's go back. Okay. So Karen Strawn, Dr. Helen Smith is also one that's quite good. I know she was talking about men on strike. I think she wrote a book about that. It's about how men are sort of doing a cost benefit analysis of marriage, and they're checking out of the dating market, right? Who else? I just recently found this as well. Blair White is also quite an anti-feminist as well. Again, she also had an interview on Ribbon Report. That's good. What other females I know that I would recommend Christina Hoff Sommers, but yeah, okay, let's recommend her. Like all this factual feminist stuff. But there are I've named four female. I would say she's not. She is a feminist, but she's anti third wave feminist. Sorry, she's anti third wave feminist, which I guess which is sort of what feminism is now. I mean, there again, I consider myself like I don't consider myself feminist. I see myself supporting first and second wave. I just don't support the third wave, obviously, for obvious reasons. Again, if I did support third wave feminism, MGTOW does, I wouldn't be doing these videos. Okay. So where was I talking? Yeah, so it's on that. So I mean, Christina Hoff Thomas herself, she's actually a Democrat. Sort of, she's a liberal. You know, likewise, most of the ones that I've talked about are probably liberal as well. But I wouldn't know. Blair White, no, not that I, no, no. But I know Christina Hoff Sommers is a Democrat, so she's a registered Democrat. So she's she must have liberal views politically. Yeah, so yeah, sort of going back to the overall picture, I sort of see women in general leaning more towards the left than the right because the left sort of gives them a position of power in a sense, gives them a better position, better chance of having a position of power. As the left stands for sort of the equality for opportunity, as we talked about. And there are a lot of women out there who still in who still believe in the myth that they are the oppressed in society. Okay. Yeah, so I just wanted to, it's an interesting talk. As I said, it's quite off topic in a sense because I'm not really talking about the bullshit that women do, as opposed to sort of now talking about how sort of talk about political philosophy and its context in terms of gender. Okay. And I sort of also want to explain sort of where I stand in the political spectrum in a sense. Okay. So yeah, thanks for paying attention. Apologies if you bearing with me on this stuff. But I just wanted to get this stuff out of my chest and just try to explain this in the video. Yeah, so thanks for watching, guys. Um, Obviously, for the men, MGTOW.